according to Vice President Dr. Bawumia. Treason bombed the ministry for transmission to go of McPalm. Okay, we'll move on to the Daily Statesman, and it says COVID-19. Rebecca Foundation donates test kits to health facilities. Government offers 2 million Ghana cedis relief for Makola fire victims, and that presentation was done by the Trade Minister, Honorable Alan Kojo Tremanting. Also, we sanitize the TVET sector, says Dr. Bawumia. He spoke at the launch of the TVET Expo 2021 and also the launch of the World Skills competition in Ghana. And Kwesi Mintim MPP executives fight over control of public toilets. Daily Graphic, increase investment in mental care, according to some CSOs. And Ningo Prampram human trafficking hotspot, according to the police. You find that story on page 16. GSS to conduct public services integrity survey. That's also on page 16. Ghanaian Times, traffic situation on the Ofankor in Sawam Road. Traffic nightmare on that road. Motorists, commuters decry daily gridlock. As Santihene inaugurates new maternity block for KNUST Hospital, and government presents 2.2 million Ghana cedis to Makola Market fire victims. Patients stranded in hospitals as the Health Service Workers Union laid down tools. I think this would be day 3 or 4, one of them, but they are asking for some conditions to be met, and if that's not done, they will not return. Unfortunately, the patients are the one who are suffering as a result. Daily Guide, NDC incest guru, in quote, daughter reveals secrets. NDC propaganda is wild, says Dr. Bawumia. That's on page 3. And Apollonia chairman raises land fraud alert. Finance Ministry okays 11,000 nurses for recruitments. Business and Financial Times says limiting over-the-counter cash withdrawals. Bankers want deeper stakeholder engagement for possible directives. TOR in desperate need of new direction, according to a report. It says annual losses stand at 300 million Ghana cedis. Public has paid 3.8 billion Ghana cedis, and the current debt still at 2 billion Ghana cedis. And there's political interference. We can blame this situation on that, and also reforms and privatization advocated. Border harassment remains rife despite ECOWAS trade protocols. We move on to the Republic, and it says Nyaho Tamaklo on the loose makes wild claims against Akufo-Addo. And all eyes on MPP's Odiniho as he steals show at delegates conference in the Ashanti region. Could he eventually become the next Ashanti regional chairman of the MPP? We'll find out. Some allegations have been made against the current regional chairman, by the way. Some young people saying that he does not pay when they follow him around to do some work. Well, we're waiting to hear from him to see what he has to say. But the Observer says Bawumia touts government's investment in TVET as he launches 2021 National Skills Competition and TVET Expo. VP Bawumia to speak on digital economy next week. And Energy Minister named among Africa's top 25 energy shakers. And finally, Weekend Today says AU to buy 110 million vaccines for member states. A distinguished personality, Hackman Owusu Ajiman. There's a profile of him in there. You can also get to watch it. But joining me in the studios this morning, Malik Basintali is a regional comms director for the Savannah region. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Bella.
Everything okay?
Fine.
It's been a long week, hasn't it?
Yes.
Very busy as well.
Very interesting as well.
Very interesting. What makes it interesting?
I mean, yesterday was packed with a whole lot of petitions. I saw a petition from ASEPA.
Yeah.
I mean, a petition to Parliament. I mean, pushing them to investigate some alleged robbery cases on attempted robbery on a Canadian citizen. I mean, in name Sewa Bruni or so. I mean, I also saw, instances where the lady herself, mounted a podium, went live on Facebook, and recounted a lot of things that had occurred, in the recent past. Encounters between herself and the President of the Republic, President Akufo-Addo, and some other operatives around him. And so yesterday was interesting. I followed, sequence of events, and it appeared a bit surprising that, not too long ago, you heard the name Papano everywhere. But today, the entire nation, the world, knows who the real...
You are happy to equalize?
Papano.
Is that what
this
is?
No, I'm not equalizing. You see, I have stated elsewhere that I'm not so much concerned about, acts of infidelity and, acts that have got to do with who the president invites to his hotel room or on the private jet. That's not so much of concern to me. My, position on this matter is with regards to the fact that, I mean, the lady in question has said categorically clear that she believes that all orchestrations, all attempts to rob her were fueled by the presidency.
But these are allegations.
And,
We
that's
cannot
why
prove
I
it.
clearly stated that she has alleged.
Okay.
I've clearly stated. And I mean, she has moved further to prove. I mean, in some of these instances where she was in a room, I mean, alone with the president, where
is that enough to prove that?
I mean, she has also filed a docket at the CID's headquarters.
Well, let's wait and see.
Absolutely. And
what
so
comes out
we are
of
following events, and we hope that, I mean, proper investigations will be conducted in this matter. And at the end of the day, I mean, we'll get to know, I mean, what our private presidential jet is usually being used for, because it's at the detriment of the taxpayer. And it's my money, it's your money. And if somebody can boldly say that I didn't want to spend a night somewhere, and so the presidential jet was made to fly me back to Accra, my destination.
Again.
I mean, and showed pictures of sitting in the presidential jet and videos and what have you. I mean, it should be a matter of worry to you and I.
Well, of course, but I mean,
we are hoping that proper investigations will be conducted.
Exactly,
yes, I'm
borrow
waiting for
into
that.
this particular issue, and so
I hope,
we'll leave that for now.
I'll follow
and
the
get
matter.
into other issues with regards to the minority in parliament and also the NDC, and the fact that they also have indicated that they're going to the police. They want the police to investigate some allegations that they have made against the Electoral Commission. Now, you remember that sometime last week, when the former president, John Dramani Mahama, was on his thank you tour, he indicated and alleged that there were some 1 million, ballot papers that had been already thumbprinted. And, a number of other allegations were made. The fact that the military, forced, the EC to declare the results, and a number of other things. The EC also subsequently organized a press conference, and they rebutted all these allegations, and they said that there was no way the military could have forced them to declare the results, and they had no hand in it. And also, in fact, what they're saying is that these allegations by the former president that the EC thumbprinted some 1 million ballot papers for the president of the Republic of Ghana, these are untrue, and it's a great matter that undermines the credibility of the electoral system and should not be ignored. So they asked the police to intervene and investigate. Yesterday, the minority and the NDC organized a press conference, and this is what they had to say. Take a look.
NDC has no other choice than to accept the challenge by the Electoral Commission that the police should investigate the allegation of the printing of over 1 million excess ballot papers. We are going a step further to lodge an official complaint with the police and to provide them with the evidence and assistance to investigate the matter to unravel the truth for all Ghanaians.
And that is General Asiedu Nketia speaking for the party, of course. Malik, I'll come to you. I mean, this happened in December 2020, and it's been months. In fact, the issue about even the ballot boxes, the ballot papers being thumbprinted, and the fact that the NDC had even discovered some of them in the warehouse where these papers were printed, and so they asked for them to be banned. This was in November 2020. And so it's been about 10, 11 months after elections. Why are you now raising this matter?
You see, Bella, what has happened in the past, you and I know. What will happen in the future, you and I do not know. Until date, I'm very certain that, I mean, you would be in some level, I mean, you would be in some percentages of fear as to what would happen in the next election because of what you saw in this particular election. The first point is that since I was born, and I don't know of you, no electoral commissioner has declared more than 6 different results in one particular election. It had never happened in the past. Since I was born, I had never seen a situation where an EC returning officer will be compelled to declare results based on signed and accredited pink sheets, and that returning officer will refuse, go into some hiding position and declare whoever the winner of that particular election is. I had never seen so. Since I was born, I had never seen an electoral commissioner declaring results that was not signed by agents of political parties in the strong rooms. I had never seen a situation like that. And so there have been different instances that occurred in this particular election that had never occurred before. In fact, since I was born, I had never seen a president assuming office, I mean, starting some sort of, persecution against an electoral commissioner, and under some disguised and, weird circumstances, taking her out of office. It had never occurred before. All past governments had come to meet electoral commissioners, They complied with their acts and whatever. I mean, people criticized and what have you, but they still went ahead. And in most of the cases, electoral commissioners that were criticized by opposition parties saw those electoral commissioners declaring those opposition parties winners of that particular election. Like the case of Charlotte Osei. Before 2016, NPP were everywhere. In fact, they called there all sorts of names, including Fawotobeje and what have you. Today, in 2016, the election of 2016, it was same Charlotte Osei who declared President Akufo-Addo winner of that particular election.
But
and
it doesn't stop them from investigating and taking an action. I mean, with regards to Madam Charlotte Osei, they gave reasons.
I would explain that, and I'll give you instances where people have misconducted themselves, I mean, in same manner, but have been left in office. I'll give you same instances. Now, yesterday's press conference sought to respond directly to certain claims made by a former TESCON patron and now a deputy electoral commissioner, Mr. Bosman Asare, with regards to the fact that, one, he claimed clearly that the new voters register was done in due course, had followed due process, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. I mean, we saw it as false because, firstly, under Article 2, Clause 1 of the ECOWAS Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance Act clearly states that no substantial, modifications should be made to any register of a member country 6 months to that particular election. Clearly, it had been stated. And if you remember, when the new voter register brouhaha, was getting intense and what have you, the NDC raised concerns with regards to the fact that it was within a 6-month period and it was totally illegal to have brought in a new register at that particular point in time. They saw it, they threw it to the dogs. They thought that the NDC was only making noise. In fact, within that particular period, they started dictating to opposition parties at IPAC, and we found everything wrong with it. You remember the instance where Bernard Mona's bag was even seized for criticizing the electoral commissioner on same grounds. Fast forward, we went into the new voter registration exercise in my region. And I'm glad that I'm on this podium today discussing this matter. I arrested an electoral commissioner, it was a civilian arrest, who was found with gadgets of the Electoral Commission in another constituency. In fact, in another region. A machine that was supposed to register indigents of the Salaga North was found in the Tamale South constituency, registering MPP people at an MPP branch chairman's house.
And you saw that yourself?
Personally. The video is there.
How did you find out about it?
People, whistleblowers called on us. People called on me. People said this was happening here. And then we tried reaching out to the police. All attempts failed. And so I went there myself. I went in the team. We arrested them. I took them to the police station. I conducted a press conference at the police station. The video went viral. I may even share it with you so you can play it if there's time. We arrested them. As to how that machine got to the MPP branch chairman's house, the Electoral Commission till date have not been able to explain that to us. You remember the issue of Silas in the Bono area or what have you, where a young gentleman who was returning from work was killed, all because there were some crises in that particular environment, and it had got to do with his registration at a particular polling station. Lots of people lost their lives. The Electoral Commission came out boldly to state that they had not recorded a single death, and they had not recorded a single casualty with regards to that new voter registration exercise. We told the country, we explained to people some of the consequences this had. They turned a deaf ear to it. And so yesterday we disputed that claim made by Bosman Asare with tangible evidence. The second point was that he spoke about the cost of elections and said that this particular election had seen a cut down budget and elections conducted at low cost. Till date, Bella, EC temporal officers that were recruited at the district levels to conduct district assembly elections, people that were recruited to conduct the referendum. You remember when we were creating the new regions. Till date, EC officials that were recruited to conduct this particular election, including the new registration exercise, have not been paid. At the district level, consistently, I have been to branches where the people say that, look, they've even given up on the Electoral Commission. Then you fail to pay all these people, and then quickly come out to tell us that you saved the taxpayer over 90 million. It's absurd, totally absurd, when you've not paid people, when you've not factored that even in your cost component. And so we thought that, look, that matter had got to do with Parliament. Parliament approved monies to them, and they would definitely stand accountable to that, in time. Another point had to do with claiming that the President Mahama had said that some 1 million ballots had been printed. Yeah. It appeared absurd because, look, on the 20th of November 2020, just a month to election, a printing press, InnoLink, was caught red-handed with fully stamped ballot papers that had not been certified by our agents. And you know how these things are done. When printings are ongoing, I have witnessed and supervised a lot of that. You have political party agents coming there to witness every ballot that is printed. After the ballot papers are printed, you certify the number, you sign, and you put your seal on it. All that was done, they were certified and put down. Then later we realized that they had printed over 1 million more of those ballot papers. What were they going to be used for?
Were they
2 days
destroyed?
after, 2 days after, a guy was arrested in the Ashanti region by the police to have, to have been in custody with these ballots, some of these ballot papers in a bag, fully voted. They are thumb printed for the MPP and had the EC seal boldly stamped on them. We questioned the integrity of the Electoral Commission with regards to that. They clearly told us that they had no hand in it. They could not explain in clear terms how those ballot papers got into those hands. Well, they were brought back, they were bent, they were disposed, all agents signed off. On the 25th, they were dispatched to the various districts. Then there was a Fijai Kwabre South constituency had some issues with their ballot papers, and so it had to be brought back to InnoLink for ratification. Upon being brought back to InnoLink, the printing press that had printed those papers, our agents were called back to come and certify the printing and correction of those errors, only to find a bag full of over 1 million ballot papers again that had been printed.
After the ones that were
disposed and sealed and signed off, they found newly printed 1 million ballot papers again at the corner. It was of public knowledge. These things went viral again. And then when we blew alarm to that, the printing press told us that they had printed them in case of a runoff. Meanwhile, it had all candidates on it. Clearly, runoffs are conducted between only 2 candidates. And so how come how would a ballot paper that had pictures of all presidential candidates be printed in anticipation of a runoff?
Malik,
yes.
I get all the issues that you have raised. Again, the EC responded and they said that the process was very transparent. There was no way they could have printed 1 million ballots in favor of the president because the process was transparent. And so these claims and allegations that you are making is just going to make them unpopular, which is why they're inviting the police to investigate this. My question again, why have we waited this long? Because I remember that the NDC went to court. And, when the Supreme Court gave its verdict, former President John Dramani Mahama came and said that even though he's not happy with the verdict, he will accept for the sake of peace. And so then the question is, months down the line, it's as if we're stirring the same pot again. It is going to cause disaffection for the EC. Why now?
You see, the point is that we are raising all these questions now because we did not get the opportunity of asking these questions to the returning officer herself in the witness box.
So this is one of the questions that you would have asked.
Definitely, of course. We kept out a set of questions, interrogatories were filed, and the lady refused to enter the witness box. We wanted the entire nation to have, to witness whatever was ongoing and whatever had gone wrong in that particular election. But the woman herself, who declared President Akufo-Addo president of this election, refused and declined entering the witness box. She told the Supreme Court to go ahead with their ruling, and they still ruled in her favor. And so we thought that, yes, if we could not get... But the Supreme Court
gave a reason why. Her lawyers were able to defend that reason.
They only said that she had exhausted one of her legal, avenues and what have you. But you remember that Afarijan had same escape window. But he decided to go into the box. You know why? Because he's being paid by the taxes of you and I. And so he stands in a right position to always be ready to account to the people of this country. And the NDC wanted to interrogate her on the same lines. But the lady refused. And so the only avenue we feel that, yes, we can interrogate them on things like this so that you and I will be convinced that the next election will be conducted in a free and fair manner is by spilling out these questions so that they come and respond.
Look, I have stated,
for example, yes, they will say so because probably, it's easy for a former TESCON patron to speak in line of the ruling party or the party.
Let me just read a bit of what Dr. Bosman Asare said. He says that the transparency of our process makes it totally impossible for this to happen. At the polling stations prior to the start of elections, the empty ballot boxes are opened and displayed in the presence of everyone, and thereafter they are sealed. There are serial numbers on the ballot papers for each region and constituency. And so this was made known to the agents before the elections. Our ballot papers also have security features, so any trace of new material will be clearly visible. Again, at the end of the poll, the ballots cast are cross-checked against the voters who were verified and issued the ballot papers. So this ensures that overvoting is detected immediately. And he went on to say that, in fact, out of the 38,622 polling stations, it was only in Savelugu that the parliamentary election where there was one, and he says, I repeat, one overvoting, and that was it.
You see, even the device that was meant to record and ensure that all people who voted in this particular election were duly verified was not done in an orderly manner. The column that was supposed to be used to register all people who had been duly verified by the BVD was not allocated. And so the EC, in fact, apologized to the NDC and appealed that we allowed them use their stamp to stamp these pink sheets and then write, the total number of people who had been verified by the BVD. It was agreed upon. Till date, you have some pink sheets that even has no EC stamps on them. Till date, you have some pink sheets that have no total people who were verified by the machine on them. Look, in some polling stations, in the Bono region, for example, I stand to be corrected on the polling station name. A total registered population of about 120 people had about 540 people voting and 540 ballots casted. These are some of the questions we wanted to ask Jane Mensah. For example, in my region, you had a tally. The total number of votes that was written in words on the regional pink sheet was different from what was written in figures. And the one that was written in words was used to tally, because in under accounting principle, if there's a discrepancy, you rather go with what is written in words. It was used to tally the final results. In any case, if the EC is claiming that indeed there was nothing wrong with this particular election and what have you, then she should tell us why the results kept changing and the figures kept changing on their own website. And they admitted that indeed they had different sets of results. They should tell us. They should also tell us why the branch pink sheets, when computed, does not tally with what was sent to the original coalition centers and what reflected at their national headquarters. Okay. You remember the issue of Teshim and Saf, where our election director took us through the pink sheets, branch by branch, assigned by himself and the MPP candidate. Why was a different result declared in Teshim and Saf? Why did they have to kill people before declaring a different result? In fact, about 2 to 3 people died in Teshim and Saf. You remember what happened in Savulugu, where about 2 people lost their lives as a result of things like this. In Zabzugu, the EC returning officer was pushed into a cabinet and then the torchlight was kept on for the returning officer to declare the results under the protection of people clothed in military clothing, but we're MPP apparatchiks.
Well, we're hoping that a rep from the MPP will be here to respond to some of these claims, by the way, and we're not sure who exactly would be coming, but we do hope. And if you're watching, if you're part of the communications team, please alert your leader, because your rep is not here to respond to these issues. So basically, with all these concerns that you have raised and the fact that you're saying you're going to the police, that has not been filed yet. That complaint has not been filed yet.
Look, a lot of complaints have even been filed in the past. For example, the 1 million votes that were arrested with that particular boy in the Ashanti region. It's a matter of investigation. Till date, nothing has been said about it. And so there are a lot of dockets even at the police depot. And yesterday, General Asedun Ketia made references to a lot of them that had been filed already prior to the election. But no investigation has been conducted with that regards. And so we would only renew a lot of those things. We would only remind them to go back and then investigate a lot of things that were witnessed. Because, for example, the death of a lot of people at these police stations. Reports were filed at the police depot. Nothing has been done. No police officer has been interdicted.
So your
Nobody has been compensated.
Exactly is to get the police to act.
We are fully in support of these investigations. We tie our cloths with it. We want the police to fully investigate the conduct of this election. At least, if we're unable to get a fair hearing at the law courts, then probably we could do that at the CID depots. If indeed Mr. Dampare wants to really attain the heights he's gradually attaining in this country, then they must investigate. And they must call the former Tescon patron into the box. They should investigate them. They should ask them how more than 1 million ballot papers were found with a civilian fully stamped and had the EC logo, ascribed on them. Okay, and these are questions we think that they must investigate.
Constantly, the NDC has also raised concerns with why the EC chair did not mount the box to respond to some of these interrogatories and the questions that would have been posed to her. Now, when the EC was responding in the press conference, they said that, why is everyone focusing on Madame Jean Mensah? She is not the EC, and the EC is not the EC chair. It is an institution. And they say that we're not answerable to you guys. And so why do you constantly ask this same question? I'll just read a bit of what they said. As an institution, we account to the good people of Ghana through the Special Budget Committee of Parliament, and we've done so, and we report regularly. We do not account to individuals. We do not account to presidential candidates. The Constitution does not permit that. And so for the information of the public, before and after the elections, the EC officials held meetings with the Special Budget Committee for our stewardship, and we continue to do this. And furthermore, the Supreme Court is not the platform for the EC to account to the people of Ghana. As far as elections are concerned, the Supreme Court is a court for settling presidential election disputes, as stated in Article 63(3) of the 92 Constitution, and that is why the former president took us to court.
You see, you can take the suit of a goat and wear it on a dog, it will still bark. Mr. Bosman Asare is a former TESCON, and a wing of the MPP patron at the University of Ghana. And so from time to time, I feel that he slips off and he still speaks as though he was representing his political party. But in clear terms, we are accusing the Madam Jemensa because she's the chief returning officer. Why is it that in election declaration, they don't go to call another person to come and declare, but Madam Jemensa herself? It's because she's accountable to the people and she's the chief returning officer. Okay, in any case, if they did not want Madam Jemensa to mount the witness box, they should have pushed the TESCON president in there so that he will come and then.
But he's not a TESCON president. Can we at least?
No, he's a former. It's
well,
part
yes,
of his
he's
CV.
a former, but
yes.
He's not a TESCON president
okay,
anymore.
So
let's address him with his current position.
No, but it's not out of order to address someone with his past position.
No, you're saying he's a TESCON.
The former TESCON patron. They could have pushed the former TESCON patron into the witness box. So he comes to represent the Electoral Commission and answer these questions. We wanted to ask somebody, at least somebody at the Electoral Commission, some questions. And that is what they failed to give us. In any case, if he claims that they are not accountable to the people, what is this let them know or whatever series they are conducting? Are they not accounting to the people of Ghana? This press conference that
but that's what they said, that we account to the people of Ghana, but we don't account to individuals and presidential candidates.
So we are people of Togo, or Mr. Asedun Kiti or John Mahama is a person of Togo. Is he not a person of Ghana? Who speaks for the people of Ghana is not an individual. The entire citizenry come and sit down to conduct a press conference. One person leads, and if the person speaks, you must respond. And that is why we are speaking. And we want, you see, in all this, Bella, we are only saying this because, look, we want due diligence to be conducted. We want everybody to have a clear sense of whatever happened in this particular election. In fact, the over 5 million Ghanaian people who voted for President Mahama, look, it had never happened that an opposition party closes the gap by more than 500,000 votes amidst pardon and rigging in a particular election. But it was done under in this instance. And so somebody who has more than 5 million of the citizenry behind him should not be taken, for a joke or for a ride. And so you must listen to him. You must conduct investigations in this election. Things happen. There are tangible evidence. The police was there. The police saw a lot of these things. This boy was arrested by myself like this. The docket is at the Tamale police station, the original depot. If they want to really pursue the case, they can simply take it up and investigate it. And so things happen in this country. People witness them. I saw people die in this particular election. In fact, I was part and parcel of the burial ceremonies of some of these people. And we don't want things like that to repeat itself. And that's why President Mahama is calling for due diligence.
When are you filing this complaint at the police service?
The party, I'm saying that a lot of even the dockets, we reminded them of a lot of dockets.
No, but you have said that you are going to file a complaint. When is that going to happen?
We would definitely push it through.
Okay.
They have filed. Bosman said they had filed a docket. You remember that they had filed a case at the CID depot to investigate President Mahama. Is that not what he said? And so we are going to respond to them. You understand? And the new cases that must be filed, we put them across. And we ensure that due diligence is done. So Mr. Bosman Asare should be ready because he will be called. He will be called to respond to some of these things. If you want to be a spokesperson of a ruling party you declared victory for,
are we not
you must be ready to take the charges.
In a bad light? Other African countries are looking on. We're close to another election again. Are we not putting them in a bad light?
They kept themselves in a bad light by violating Article 2, Clause 1 of the ECOWAS Protocol on Democracy on Good Governance. They kept themselves in a bad light by going against those demands and statutory requirements that any member country should not have a new register or have substantial modifications to even its old register 6 months to the election. So they kept themselves in a bad light. President Akufo-Addo himself kept himself in a bad light when they sacked Madam Charlotte. But
they gave a reason for that sack.
Procurement breaches.
Exactly.
There's a man in Parliament now who has said that he wasn't thinking right before misconducting himself in same manner He has been left. President Akufo-Addo even clearly said that Health Minister Abre in his hometown and made it a laughing matter. Ken Ofori-Atta has been caught on several counts. A petition was filed by Mr. Broja Jemfi on the Ken bond, the $2.25 billion bond, that indeed procurement, regulations were not enforced. He breached all regulations with regards to that. What happened to him? He was left at post. Tried, investigated the matter. A ruling was made, and indeed he was indicted for having some procurement breaches. What happened? He's at post, shouting everywhere and saying that Ghana's economy requires you have a girlfriend and what have you. So these are things that have been going on wrong badly in this country. And so we think that, yes, we are ready for these investigations, but Mr. Bosman Asare, a former MPP, TESCON president, must be ready. Because we would pull him into the box and he will be made to answer questions.
We'll move on from this and talk about youth unemployment in the country. And again, we still do not have a rep from the NPP in the studio. And so it's difficult to get their side of the story and their response to that minority press conference that took place yesterday, and of course the NDC as well. And so let's see how it goes. Hopefully we'll have someone join us before we wrap up. But youth unemployment has become a major issue. As it stands now, unemployment in the country with regards to the labor sector is 4.6%. We're told that it could go as high as 5%, if care is not taken. We've seen many young people join long queues just to be recruited into the security agencies, from Immigration Service to the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana National Fire Service. And yesterday there was a heartbreaking video of a young lady who said that she was denied recruitment because she had stretch marks. Maybe we can just play that one more time. We've already played it twice this morning. But just for those of you who joined in as well, you're welcome to TV3 New Day. We're discussing the big issues today on the show. So this is a young lady who says she was not given the chance to proceed to the next stage because she has stretch marks.
To the high, then I went for the selection, but the woman said I'm having stretch marks on my body.
How do you feel being disqualified?
I feel sad.
Are you going to try it again next year?
So far as that stretch marks is in me, it's only that one that I'm having problem with.
Well, others were disqualified for various reasons, not meeting the height requirements, having double piercings, having tattoos and scars on their bodies, etc. But the biggest worry here, again, is the fact that all these people paid 100 Ghana cedis each so they can register online before being called for the second stage of the screening. You remember that the CPP chairperson, Anna Sapon Kamunkuma, had given the security agencies and government a timeline to refund those monies to the young people who did not get called for the next stage of a screening process. The Ghana Police Service had indicated that they were going to take only about 5,000 out of the 108,000 who applied online for recruitment. And so question is, what happens to all that money, especially at this point where we're seeing so many reasons being given as to why young people are not going to be recruited into the agency? What's your concern about all of this?
First of all, Bella, I think that in a matter of fairness, you see, even if the MPP would not entirely go by their promise prior to the 2016 election, they should just give monies of people who have been disqualified back to them. I think that is a fair position.
But they said they used that money to fund the process.
You can't fund processes with monies people have used to buy forms. So if one person had bought a form, would you have used that money to finance the entire process? It doesn't make sense. I mean, you don't anticipate. We could have had just one person or two people buying forms. So you tell me that if someone is buying a form for 150 cedis and just two people pay, you use 300 cedis to supervise the entire process. It doesn't make sense. Clearly, look, under civil service recruitments, Office of Heads of Civil Service, what happens is that you apply, you don't pay a fee. If you are shortlisted, then you then pay a fee to buy the scratch card in undertaking the examination before you even go for interview. And I think it's a fair process. And so in the security service recruitment, for example, I buy a form. I have all requirements. I've met all regulations. Then I get there and you tell me that because you've seen one stretch mark on my body, I have been disqualified. So my 150 cedis probably has been used in contribution to the National Cathedral, so I should go home.
But they have
clearly
reasons.
Does not make sense.
They have reasons why they are rejecting based on these. For stretch marks, we're told that you can easily bleed out, and so that is one reason why they will not choose such people.
People have had stretch marks for years. They have never bled. There's no medical inclination to all these things. And if there is, they should come out and prove it to us. In fact, I find it absurd. I think that, look, it's out of place, out of order. Then they spoke about height. People who did not meet a certain... Look, you go into the security services today, people who have protocol recruitments will not even get to half of the height, but they will be in the service. We see them every day on our routes. We see them at the barriers. The commander-in-chief himself, I mean, definitely you can't use height to disqualify a person. Even in context of presidency, you can't use height to disqualify someone. How much more something like this? And the person becomes president and becomes commander-in-chief of all these security services. And I think that these are regulations that in this 21st century we must begin to look out for. We must look out for people who are willing to do the work, have the expertise, have the knowledge, have the know-how, and then we go by those regulations, other than looking at petty things of, they said an instance is double PSN.
Yeah.
I mean, one could easily take that off.
But that has always been...
There are instances where,
anyway,
Bella, the first
not have multiple PSNs.
Let me explain this. The first hold that was given to you has issues. There are instances where the first hold that was given to you as a lady from the hospital has issues. And anytime you use an earring, you bleed. You've had instances like that. So there will be a high need to get a second hold. That will be safe for you. So does that mean that you're automatically disqualified from being a member of the immigration or any security body in this country when it's a medical reason? Clearly, I think that we must begin to alterate some of these things. It's out of place. But I think that I'm only weeping for the teeming unemployment in this country. And I felt sad, especially when I heard Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, a cousin to the president, saying that...
He's a finance minister.
Yeah, but he's a cousin to the president.
But he's a finance minister.
You see, people are better off...
Based on that.
People are better off being aligned in family lines than even with regards to positions.
No, but he's a finance minister, so he said that the government payroll is full. And so he spoke within that capacity.
Okay, so the finance minister clearly said that the government payroll was full and they could not recruit people again. And so I asked the question, and people should go into entrepreneurship. I asked the question, even people with money and resources in this country have still pushed their children into public office. An example is the President of the Republic. President Akufo-Addo's daughter is on the Creative Arts Board. It's a worker, it's a public officer. Yet President Akufo-Addo had money, enough money to push his daughter into entrepreneurship, but he chose to put her in public service. In fact, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, Eno Ofori-Atta, okay, it's working within the remits of public service. She's the deputy MD at SIC Finance, and she's still in public office. The sons of the two former senior minister, now senior presidential advisor, have been recruited under this government. Look, the father of the vice president's wife, Samira's father, has been appointed into public office as an ambassador to UAE.
Do they not qualify for those positions?
And so the Ghanaian citizen will also as well qualify for these same positions. And so if you think that entrepreneurship is the way to go, you should withdraw all your family members that have been appointed, push them into entrepreneurship, let them test the waters. Then we see how it goes about. Somebody has completed medical examination. Somebody is a doctor. You are telling the person to leave his medical field and then go into entrepreneurship. Is that what they seek to communicate? Somebody has gone through a teacher trainee institution. The person has been fully trained to be a teacher, Bella. Then the person graduates. Then you say no, because public sector is choke, leave that and go into bread selling, go into entrepreneurship. It's simply out of order, and I think that people will gradually start shifting off their fields in this country. In any case, let me tell you why I find this government very insensitive, very cruel, and have deliberately decided to subject these people, the people of this country, into torture. One, before we exited office, there was nothing like a rich hospital expansion project. That expansion made room for over 1,500 new health service workers to be recruited. What has that backlog done? What has it been used to cater for? Before we exited office, we did not have more than 70 E-blocks situated at various places. And remember that all these schools that were built by President Mahama had opportunity of recruiting teachers, created opportunity of recruiting teachers, watchmen, laborers, unofficial staff. I mean, what have you? More than, in fact, the E-block situated in Daboya and in Paha alone, put together, we'll be able to recruit more than 7,000 people. New factories were brought in under President Mahama. The Savannah Shea Nut factory in Bipe has a capacity of employing more than 7,500 people. It's been left to rot. I mean, the company keeps dwindling and dying on a daily basis. The Commander Sugar Factory, if revamped, had a capacity of recruiting over 7,000 people. It's been abandoned. President Akufo-Addo thinks that if I complete it, it will go to the credit of President Mahama. He
says that former President Mahama, starts projects from the roof before he actually tackles the foundation.
If you've not built a factory before, you don't even know how factories come into existence. Because he has not built a factory before, he doesn't know how they come into existence. How can you build a roof before putting up on a foundation? In any case, sugarcane is a perishable product. You wanted us to plant the sugarcane before starting the project, so that within 1 year, if the sugarcane is harvested, we'll go and sell it to Akpatashi sellers, like what they are doing now.
Okay.
I mean, clearly it's out of order.
The finance minister had said during the media budget review that they were setting up the youth bank. And so this was going to provide some funds to 100,000 Ghanaian youth to start businesses and to go into entrepreneurship. Is that probably not the reason why he came out to say that the payroll is full and maybe these young people should go into entrepreneurship because there might be some funding for them?
They said they had brought in NAPCO to be a temporal pushover for people who had graduated into, fully being recruited in some governmental agencies. NAPCO recruits have their contracts expiring this month. And then you are telling them today to leave the promise you made to them and then go into entrepreneurship. I have cited an example where we have teachers who are teaching under NAPCO. We have nurses who are working under NAPCO. We have health professionals who are working under NAPCO. You are telling these people to leave their fields when there's enough room to recruit them, when there are enough e-blocks, there are enough chip compounds, there are enough medical facilities available to recruit them, and then go into bread selling because you think that the monies available are being used under the Office of Government Machinery and to finance your family members. It's simply out of order. I have stated that, look, if President Akufo-Addo had just withheld his renting of a private jet to go and watch a UEFA Champions League match in Spain between Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur, had pulled back his renting of a presidential jet to bath in the sky and then watch a cinema.
Okay.
That would have saved the taxpayer over 10 million Ghana cedis. That would have been used to even pay the backlog of NAPCO employees and made life easier for people.
They said they'll create some 1 million jobs as well.
I'm explaining that. They said they had brought a program called Obatampake. Really, you remember?
Yes.
What has been done under that program? What has that program come to salvage? Inflation as of today, under the Bank of Ghana records, is 10.6. Our debt keeps ballooning. We are hitting over 360 billion under this country. Look, our debt, how do you call it? Our debt to GDP is over 76%, hitting more higher than the threshold. Fuel prices have increased by over 46% under this current government. Meanwhile, they said Obatampa was brought in to salvage the Ghanaian situation. Bella, you and I, the fuel that you used to consume, I'm sure today, you are comfortable in life to some extent, but I'm sure you are complaining.
You can't say that just looking at me. You can never tell.
Today I can't tell under Akufo-Addo because everything has changed. People appear bright. You check their fuel gauges and it's sinking down. And so clearly, there's a problem in this country, and we must all sit up and salvage the situation.
Let me read some messages. And again, just a reminder: the reason why we have no reason for not having an MPP rep here. We haven't heard from them. Nobody has explained why no one from the communications team of the MPP was not here to respond to some of these allegations and issues that have come up. But this is Sule Sunyane KTK says, desperate former President Mahama and his clueless NDC are noisemakers. Let's ignore them and move on as a nation. Ghana will probably advance meaningfully if clueless NDC stays in opposition for at least 30 years. PNDC or NDC had more opportunity in Ghana than any political party in the country. But what is their performance? Abysmal. Let's give the great NPP party more opportunity to rebuild Ghana for current and future generations. The battle still remains the Lord's. Abbas Amogobo from Afinso says that everybody in this country knows that the MPP rigged election 2020. It's a very big shame, and I think the EC must apologize to the good people of Ghana. Nobody will allow them to rig again. If the NDC wanted to ask the EC these questions on the 1 million vote allegations, why didn't they include it in their petition? Lack of consistency, incompetence, and hypocrisy. NDC, never again. Dr. Baba Zamo, Master Planner Jr., Kintampo. EC is asking police to investigate Mahama. If the case goes to court, will Jean be prepared for cross-examination? That's Joe asking from Tema. Good morning, TV3. It's very painful to lose elections, particularly presidential elections. NDC and ex-President Mahama are still complaining because of the loss. And I think this may affect their chances in 2024. The rule has always been that the elections are won at the polling stations. So where were your agents when EC officials went thumbprinting for your opponents? This noise is just ado about nothing. Okay, much ado about nothing. Abdul Majid from Kumbungu. Good morning, Bella. Ask Malik why Asiedun Ketia did not bring out all these allegations when he was called to the witness box. Roland from Bolga. Well, he did indicate that he was not there to challenge the results.
We're not there to bring in our new results. Okay. We are challenging the discrepancies.
Good morning, Johnny. Thank you for ranting on our behalf as applicants. I was at the Fire Service Center, Jamestown, on Monday at 6 a.m. for the documentation and body selection. Per what I experienced, it was so obvious the officers were not organized, so the process was delayed. They started the process around 10 to 11 thereabouts, and instead of starting with those who came very early, they started with their protocol applicants. That caused chaos since applicants who came very early were trying to enter forcefully. In attempts to control the crowd, officers started using tasers, pepper spray, sticks, and pipes on applicants. There, I just gave up and left, because the scene wasn't pleasant at all. After all, deep down in my heart, I know these processes are just formalities. They've already picked their people, like everyone says. This is Papa from Tema. Papa won't be the only one who's raising concerns and making these allegations. In fact, there was a young lady that we spoke to when we went to the Ghana National Fire Service, training center, and she also asked why we had not come on Monday, because if we had come, we would have seen how pepper sprays, tasers, and sticks were being used on them. We spoke to the Accra Regional Commander for the Ghana National Fire Service, and he said that this has not come to his notice and that they will look into it. But that's all that we've heard from them. No response again about these allegations. Good morning, Bella. I believe if there's any one person that should advocate against physical discrimination as seen in the current recruitment processes of the Immigration and Fire Service, it should be the President of Ghana. Owing to the fact that a person below 5'7" is president, I see no sense in how a person below that height cannot be in any security agency. I've lived in the barracks where the likes of Wei Bofuvu and Hagan, who were just about the same height of the president, served as soldiers. People below the required height will be ideal for the position of rangers in the forces. Dreams shattered and unemployment rate reignited. I feel sorry for the disqualified applicants. Good morning, TV3. Honestly, we've moved on as a country. The rebuttal between the EC and NDC will not do us any good, but rather generate something negative. In fact, the entire processes by EC in 2020 election were characterized by both positives and negatives, even though the negative dominated. But we must learn from this and correct the wrongs for 2024. I think the EC as a referee should stop being pushed to rebut to the NDC's claims and put themselves together moving forward. I will humbly suggest the EC chair resigns just to take off some obvious perceptions towards 2024 and to avoid severe tension. TV3 New Day. That's Victor from Rapture. Victor Rapture from Ho. Good morning, Bella. The 3 years of the NAPCO initiative ends today. Beneficiaries have not had any news from the NAPCO Secretariat as to what they should do next. NAPCO has really helped the youth a lot, and it will be a shame to ask the beneficiaries to go back home after all the experiences gained over the 3-year period. The president made it known to us a few months ago that those trainees who opted for permanent jobs will be absorbed by October. Thus far, NAPCO beneficiaries have not heard anything from the NAPCO CEO. We want to know our fate. We don't want to go back home. Kofi from her very genuine concern, I must say. Good morning, New Day. The manner in which the recent MMDC election was done should even tell you that the 2020 election was rigged. I'm happy about what Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo said about Nanado yesterday. Adams from Tamale, and he's saying that they should look into this particular issue. Aziz Don Lawa says, good morning to the TV3 crew. The lackadaisical approach to unemployment in this country is our main challenge. Indeed, our educational system must be relooked at, recycled, repackaged to suit our current predicaments. Vocational and technical schools are one clear point governments must invest in. Well, the Vice President has been speaking on this. In fact, the Education Ministry indicated that some 139 schools, technical and vocational schools, had been put on free SHS, and so that's one way by which they're expanding it. And finally, so today, casual workers who've been used by Ghana Health Service for years without mechanization are now saving the hospitals. Shame to Ghana Health Service. Final words, Malik.
Health service workers are on strike.
Yes.
I find it unfortunate. In fact, yesterday, I had so many calls from people in Tamale and the Volta region. They were unable to have access to some health care. There are people dying out there. In fact, in some instances, they were even compelled to buy their own gloves. And I mean, some of these protocols in order for people who are charitable, health workers who are charitable, to attend to them. And I find it unfortunate. And the government of the day seems not bothered. They appear so much unconcerned about the plights of that people would have to go through. Today, any of us, anybody could be struck down with maybe a health condition or what have you. And so if you get to the hospital and they are unable to treat you because government has turned a deaf ear to them, I find it very unfortunate. And I think that they must look into it. But again, Mr. Nyaho Tamaklo yesterday spoke a lot. I feel very sad. You see, the direction of the country currently under Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia is entirely not favorable. These are people who cause change in this country. These are people who employ a lot of people. Mr. Nyaho Tamaklo is a renowned, in fact, is one of the founding members of the New Patriotic Party. And the man yesterday nearly wept because of the misconduct that had been going on in this country. And he says he sleeps and he's unable to sleep because he is sad about the future generation of this country. And so all I will say, Bella, in conclusion, is that all hopes are not lost. There's still a savior. The savior, I mean, as declared in the Ashanti region during the thank you tour, the Ajinkwano is still on standby. President Mahama is at the corner. He will be president again. We will salvage this country from hardships, from excruciating poverty,
Okay.
from torture, from cruelty, from
Thank you, Malik.
insensitivity.
Thank you.
And I think that when all is said and done, on January 7th, 2025, this country will take a new direction.
All right.
We'll have a new vision. We'll have a new leader, a new hope inspired by President John Dramani
Okay.
Mahama.
Thank you so much. Remember when the Aplau chief, gave the education minister some ultimatum, to complete the E-block in his town so that students can be enrolled in the schools. And the president was asked about it during an interview, and he said, well, the chief does not have that right to give a timeline, and in fact, if he's so concerned about it, he should go ahead to complete it. We're told that it was a joke, but now the Minority Voter Caucus in Parliament is asking that the president retract this statement and apologize to Togbi Ajongaga Amenya Fiti the fifth. Let's see what comes out of all of this as well. But thank you so much, Malik Basintale, yes. And he is the Director of Communications, the Savannah region. Thank you again. We did not have a rep from the MPP, by the way, but the show continues. Was cool, yes. It was cool because you didn't have anybody to about you. You needed more time. Anyway, I think I gave you enough time, but thank you for coming. And we'll come back with some more. Hearts Bay is coming on today. Would you leave your partner if you find out that he or she is cheating, or would you stay and say, we die here? We'll be back with sports and some more.
Zuzum right here in my house. Hey!
Look up there. Why are you using inferior pen?
It was a mistake. I no check.
Acrobat 2. I'm going to knock you